I want to start by just kind of talking about test format for this Chapter 7 test. So this is in the OneNote here if you're looking for it. But I said students should be able to demonstrate the following skills. So give examples of qualitative versus quantitative variable. What's the difference?
Numbers versus
Words. Yeah, sure. You should be able to describe the SOCs of a distribution from a visual representation. So like if you're given a chart or something. What does SOCS stand for?
shape, center spread.
Shape, outlier, center spread. Good. You should be able to approximate the mean, median, and mode of a distribution from a visual representation. So again, if you're given like a graph or a chart or something, you should be able to kind of pick out those values. Given a cumulative relative frequency graph, you should be able to identify the measurement from a percentile and then the percentile from a measurement. So I think that was on the last quiz, right? Where you had to do that. It gave you the cumulative relative frequency graph. Basically just reading a chart. You should be able to find the mid-interval values for a frequency chart and then use those mid-interval values to find a mean. You should be able to write the 5-number summary for a distribution. You should be able to draw a box plot for a distribution. How do you draw a box plot?
Get the median, the first quartile, second quartile, medial.
The second quartile is the median.
The third quartile.
Okay.
And then
So that's the box, right? The first and third quartiles make the box, and then the median is like the line in the box.
And the minimum and maximum are the points.
The whiskers. Yeah, the whiskers for the plot. Unless
There's an outlier.
they're an outlier, right? In which case they're not part of the whisker, they just get an extra little symbol or something, a star or an asterisk or a circle or whatever that's not part of the whisker, right? And if you're drawing any kind of plot, what else do you need? You need a title, and you need labels for your axes, right? We're real bad at putting titles on things. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. I'm just reminding us all. You should be able to find the mean, median, mode, standard deviation from a frequency chart. You should be able to complete a frequency table for a distribution and then make a histogram of that distribution. What's the difference between a bar graph and a histogram? The bars touch, right? Be able to find an IQR and use the 1.5 times IQR rule to determine if there's an outlier or outliers. And then you should be able to explain whether the mean and standard deviation or the median and IQR and range would be best way to describe a distribution. How do you tell the difference? When would I want to use mean and standard deviation versus median, IQR, and range?
Mean and standard deviation when there's no outliers.
And
Symmetric.
Shape, good. And then the other, if it's skewed one way or the other, or if there's, symmetric, but you have a large outlier or something. And then you should be able to describe the SOCs of a distribution just from a statistics. So like, if we don't give you a plot, we just give you like the data and some information about the data, you should still be able to do the same description. Cool beans?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to run through some calculator stuff. Yeah, go ahead. Just to refresh our memory on how to do stuff on the calculator, because I would say that all of this stuff is largely just like calculator literacy in this chapter. There's not a whole lot of things you have to compute by hand, nor would I encourage you to compute much of this by hand. I would really use the calculator in all of these cases to do this kind of stuff. So let me pull up some thing here. Yeah, this is a good one. All right, so we're just going to use this data set here. So I'm going to start by just entering this data into my calculator. So stat, edit, and I have a whole bunch of stuff that I've used here, so I'm going to clear all these things out of here. Remember, to clear things, you highlight the title of the list, you press the clear button and then down. Don't delete. But you have to be on the title of the list and hit clear and then down. And it'll wipe the whole thing for us. So 13, 27, 26, 44, 30, 39, 40, 34. Should I stop talking probably while you're typing? That probably doesn't help anything. It helps me, but that's not a lot. That doesn't seem right. 2, 4, 6. Oh, yeah, 8. Okay, yeah. I was like, I saw the 24. I'm like, but there's an odd number of them. Okay. So say you had to like come up with like a frequency chart for this. That stinks because, well, all these numbers are out of order, right? Here's what I'm going to do. I figured out how to do this the other day. This is cool. So I'm going to make L2 just another copy of L1. So I just went to the title and did L2 equals L1 and pressed enter, and it just copied the same list over. I'm going to exit out of there, and I'm going to do stat, and I'm going to pick sort A, and I'm going to do that to L2 and press enter. Now if I go in and I look at L2, look what happened.
Awesome.
It's ordered from smallest to largest. I think if you do sort D, it'll sort it from largest to smallest. But like, what a time saver that is if you have to make a frequency chart, right? I can just type the stuff in any order I want and just use that sort command. So that makes life a lot easier because now everything is where it's supposed to be. Now, if I want to get the 5-number summary, what's the easiest way to do this?
Stat, calculate.
Yep. And does it matter if I do this on L1 or L2?
No.
No, because there's the same distribution and just one is sorted, one isn't. So I just scroll down and, you know, the min, Q1, median, Q3, and max are all listed for me there. So if I was looking at this one, what would the IQR be here?
Uh, 18.
18, good. So 1.5 times 18 is it's 27, right? Well, 1 times 18 is 18. A half of 18 is 9. 18 plus 9 should be 27. That's what I did in my head. So the lower bound for an outlier would be 26 minus 18, which would be 8. There's no lower outlier, correct? And then the upper bound for an outlier would be 71, 44 plus 27. Oh, I did. This should be 27. I'm sorry, 26 minus 27 is -1. Obviously, no outlier there. And 27 plus 44 is 71. And again, nothing over 71 there. So there's no outliers. So if I was going to draw the box and whisker plot here, what would this guy look like? So just going by fives maybe. And the title here might be Hank Aaron Home Run Seasons or something. That's not how you spell Aaron. So my box is going to be from 26, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So there's the start of my box, to 44. So that's 30, 35, 40, 45. So a little before that. So there's my box. My median should be at 34, so that's 25, 30, 35, so 34 is like right in there. And then my whisker goes down to 10. And my other whisker goes there to 47. And if you want to be really precise, you could put like the measurement above these points so it's real clear to the reader what that thing would look like. But there's my box and whisker. Notice before I started this, I checked if there was an outlier first, right? Because I don't want to accidentally draw the outlier as part of my whisker. Everybody cool? One of the things that I've noticed us do consistently wrong is using mid-interval values to calculate an average. So let's run through doing that again and how to use the calculator to do that for us. Ooh. So notice here also, your calculator can draw you the box and whisker. So I just went in second and y equals. Pick this option here that looks like the box and whisker. L1 or L2, both of them are the same distribution, just one is sorted, one isn't. So I just used L1. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to press zoom stat to graph this. Oops. And then I had something else in my y equals menu that I don't want in there. But there's my box and whisker. Pretty cool. So again, what I did is I pressed second y equals, picked like plot 1. I went and picked the option, I turned it on and then picked the option that looks like the box and whisker plot. Made sure my X list was the one with the data in it, and then just did zoom stat, and it'll draw the box and whisker for me.
Zoom stat what?
Just press enter and it should pop right up for you.
There you go.
Okay. Let's find a mid-interval example here. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Here, let's do this. Okay. So let's do, take this distribution here, and let's create the mid-interval values for these. So what should the mid-interval value be for each of these pieces, or these groupings? Yep, 67. Yep. Yep.
82.
Yep. Yep.
92.
Ooh, that one tricked me. I thought we were doing odds and evens. Okay. And now I'm also going to type in the frequencies. And now if I want to use those mid-interval values to approximate the average, I'm going to exit out of here. I'm going to do stat, calc, one variable statistic, and this time I'm going to use a frequency list. So I'm going to use L1, that's where my mid-interval values were. In L2 were my frequency, so I'm going to list that as my frequency list, and then I'll press enter. And the mean given now is the mean that I want. That's the average for this, or approximates the average using the mid-interval values. You have to make sure you're using the frequencies because it's like a weighted average. And that's a heck of a lot easier than doing it by hand. Do you not have a frequency list? Oh, yours has the comma. I think if you do like L1 comma L2, it'll probably do it for you. Because you have the old school operating system, right?
Yeah.
If you do one, it did it? Okay. Is that helpful for you guys?
Yeah.
Let's say we wanted to do a, what else should we do here? Calculator wise.
Next week. Still missing that.
Oh yeah, we haven't done, we should do one of those standard deviations in your calculator thing, or variances in your calculator thing, right?
That was good.
Let's do one of those.
It's next week. That was the bathroom.
All right. Well, it doesn't really matter. Let's just use, that list isn't very long. Let's use that. So clear this stuff out. Okay. So entered in my data. In L2, I wanted to do the data point minus the mean, right? So the way I would do that, I'm going to exit back to the main menu, or the home screen. I'll do stat, calc, one variable stats. I'm going to remove the frequency list, and then hit calculate. So there's my mean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do stat, edit, and I'm going to go up, move my cursor on the heading L2, press enter. And what I want to do is L1 minus the mean. To get the mean there, I'm going to do vars, statistics, and then X bar, and press enter. That goes and subtracts the mean from each one. If I lose you, holler at me and I can repeat, right? Okay. The next column should be L2 squared. So I'll do L2 and then squared. So again, I moved my cursor up onto L3, the title, pressed enter, and then just typed in L2 squared and filled that. And now to sum up all the things on that list, I'm going to do one variable stats on that list. So I'm going to exit out of here. I'll do stat, calc, one variable stats on L3. So that sigma x is the sum of all the things on that list. So if I want to take that and divide it by the number of observations, I'm just going to do stat, statistics. I'm going to move over to the summation and pick sigma x, and I'll divide that by vars statistics n, which is the number of observations. So that guy should be my variance there. And to check this, remember variance is the same thing as standard deviation squared. So if I did the one variable statistics on L1, the original data, and I look at my sigma x, oh, that doesn't look right. And I do variables, statistics, sigma x squared. That I notice is the same number, right? So depending on whether they just want the number or if they want some work to go along with it, you know, if I were to write out the work, you know, I would have written like so it'd be like 9 minus whatever the mean was plus 12 minus whatever that mean was dot 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 plus 43 minus whatever that mean was squared over I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that would equal, you know, if I went back and did on L3, what was that number? 863 and change. And then whatever that was, like 9.2 or something. So like that would be a sufficient work shown, right? If it was asking for work. Again, I would have filled in whatever the mean was there. I just couldn't remember what the mean was the first time we did it. It's like 36 or something, I thought, but I didn't really remember. Does that feel okay? I just want to run through some of the calculator stuff because if you know what to do on your calculator, there's really very low chance you make an arithmetic mistake, which is lovely, right? And for the most part, this is like what the IB would ask you to do. They wouldn't be very interested in work for the most part. They're going to be interested in just kind of the result. Okay. Let's stop here. For the remainder of class, I would encourage you to work on the review from the book. So that'll be part of your problem set for Sunday. The Chapter 7 test is scheduled for Friday. You know, as you're studying for stuff, make sure you can do the things on your calculator. And then I would say, you know, like look back through like the in-class examples and stuff. Like that's good stuff to look at. The keys for all those are in the OneNote there. So if you wanted to go back and like run through some of that stuff and redo some of that stuff, the keys are there to check against. But otherwise, I think you guys have seen now, this is the second test. I think you probably have a pretty good feel for what these things are going to look like. Okay. I'm going to get out of your way and let you get to work.